Hey guys, welcome back again to Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, where the proof continues to be in the actual singing. I'm Ken Tamplin, and I want to talk to you guys about a really important subject, and the subject is singing while sick, or singing through colds and flu. Now, no matter where you get your information from, I think it's really important that you do a little research on the person that's giving you that information so that you can verify that that information is legit. For example, if you want, you could go to imdb.com and you could look at all the different movie soundtracks and things that I've recorded, or you could go to Wikipedia and you could Google my name and see 40 records that I've had out and toured the world for 30 some odd years, so that the information that you get, you know you're getting it from a credible source, okay? Now, there's some cool videos that are floating around about singing while sick. I'd like to contribute some stuff to that because there's a lot of stuff that's been left out. And I've actually been talking about singing through colds and flu now, gosh, for 30 years. I think I'm one of the only vocal coaches I've ever known that's done that. So recently there's some people that have talked about singing through colds and flu, but that can be pretty dangerous. And let me explain why. You don't want to just sing through a cold and flu unless you understand A, what kind of cold and flu you have. Do you have inflammation on the cords, your vocal folds? Are you actually hurting yourself when you're going and you're singing through colds and flu? So we're going to discuss that in a minute. But the very first thing is, I discussed about touring. Well, I've toured the world for about 30 years. I have 40 records out. Again, Google my name and you'll see. And what I really love is that if there's other coaches out there that are talking about this subject, if they've shown how much touring they've done or how much actual singing that they do they sing themselves? And that's awesome. And do they display students that sing themselves? Because it's a real telltale of where you're getting your information from, how credible or how legit or how much it can be trusted in within the scope of their own abilities. So, but let's get to this. So if I were to tour, and if I were to have a show go down on me, it could cost me thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. So yeah, the show must go on. But what's more important than the show must be going on, is that if we have stayed in shape, in good vocal shape, up to a certain point where we get sick or cold or flu, then when we carefully sing through a cold and flu, the duration of the cold is a lot less and our recovery time is a lot faster. So that's, I think, more important than just the show must go on, because the show must go on kind of insinuates that you're going to bandage yourself up and do the best you can, push yourself out there, and then you get in the soccer game and you get beat up pretty bad, and it takes a lot more time for recovery, right? Well, that's one thing. The other thing too is when we sing through a cold and flu, again, if we're in shape, our 70% is better than most people's 100%. Let me say that again. So if we're in shape and we've been really buff and we've been working our vocals out, when we only can sing up to 70 or even 60%, that we've trained to the point that our 60 or 70% is better than most people's 100%. Now let me give you a quick funny story about this. There's a really famous basketball coach, and his name's John Wooden. Look him up, it's really cool. He actually was a basketball coach for UCLA, and there were some very famous players that came out of that team. One was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, another one was Bill Walton, and when they were interviewed, Kareem and Bill, how it was possible that they won 10 straight years without a single loss. Think about that. 10 straight years without a single loss. It was funny because Bill Walton said, "Are you kidding me? By the time we get to the game, that's entertainment. It was fun." It says that's like nothing compared to what John Wooden put us through in practice. So in other words, their practice schedule was so rigorous and it was so gnarly that by the time they got to game time, they were just having fun and just toying with the opposition. So if you could kind of get your brain around that kind of technique and that kind of stamina for training, that would be awesome. So now I want to talk to you about a couple things. First thing is that again, these videos that are floating around, and there's good information in the videos, it's just really incomplete. So I want to kind of come alongside and talk about this. Like I said, I've been espousing singing through colds and flu for about 30 years now. So, and I'm the only guy that has ever known that has said this until recently, some videos that have popped up. So, but I want to clarify a couple things. The very first thing is, I have a video out called The 5 Laws of Singing, and I also have one out called Professional Vocal Workouts. So if you could refer to that, I'll put this in the liner notes in the description here on the video so you can just easily click on it. Why this is important is that it's not that we just go through a bunch of chest, head, voice workouts and everything works out all right. I have a slogan, it's called Ping is King. And I know I've said it a million times, I'm gonna say it 1,000,001 because it's that important. Ping, ah, it's the la, ah. not only is that the only sound that truly grows the voice and makes it resonate and get big, but it's also the only sound that actually clears off the cords from mucus. And I want to talk about mucus and I want to talk about inflammation because these are really important subjects before we sing. Let me say it again. Inflammation, mucus, reducing that or minimizing that before we sing. We don't go straight to singing. Let's talk about it. So I actually have a video that's also on YouTube. I'll put this in the description tag too. It's called How to Get Rid of Mucus for the vocal folds. So it's going to be in the description. Guys, don't use elixirs or throat sprays and whatnot because they contain sugar, which really turns into glycerin, or glycerin, excuse me, turns into sugar. Things like slippery elm and whatnot, because it coats the cord for a minute. It may last, 10 minutes or so, but you find yourself clearing off the cords going, and scraping the cords with air and exacerbating the cords themselves so that they again become more inflamed, and then you lose good cord closure. Now the cords themselves, as you know, they kind of look like they're like a V shape when they close down like this, right? The closure is what we need to get phonation or sound, right? Well, we have a cricoarytenoid and a arytenoid cartilage that takes your cords kind of like a rubber band. And what we want to do is to stretch the cords is we want to oil them or have something that oils them. So there's a lot of things the body produces. There's glutathione, which your body produces naturally. People think that if they drink a glass of water that all of a sudden, their folds feel better. No, all you're really doing is hydrating the body to get moisture into the cords. But there's also something called mucosa, and it lines the whole wall of the mouth and the throat and whatnot. And it's not mucus, it's a form of a moisturizer. And the body will do this naturally if you know how to stretch this cord. It's the la when it's a nice bright tone, and it can actually, as we go up and down, ascending or descending a scale, it can actually put elasticity back into the cords themselves. So that's what we want. We want to put elasticity and resiliency back in the cords. This is extremely important. So again, before we sing at all, you guys want to take some of these measures to really do all you can to ensure the best health for your voice first before we start busting out with some scale. So the second thing is that there's a lot of things you can do. A lot of really famous opera singers sleep with a humidifier. And they'll do this because that all night long is putting moisture back in the folds. They're breathing in, good quality humidification or moisture, and it's keeping the cords nice and moist. That's one thing you could do, because as the cords get thick, and when you have a cold or flu and you have post-nasal drip that's dripping from the sinus cavity, etc., onto the cords, they get thick, they kind of become leathery. Now, our cords are made of collagen, and you can actually take collagen. In fact, I'll post a thing here, a good kind of collagen that you can take that would be awesome for your vocal folds. And there's actually types 1, 2, and 3, and I'll explain those in a minute. Types 2 and 3 actually are for the collagen itself, and type 1, I believe it is what helps the cartilage and bone structure, bone marrow and whatnot to stay strong. But anyway, so sleep with a humidifier, that's one thing you can do. There's also direct vapor humidification. This is actually even cooler, or as cool, if not more immediate response. I'm going to post something called Viridian. Check this out. Now this sucker, actually, you can put this directly on your face, and for like 15 minutes, just put a couple drops of tea tree oil or maybe some eucalyptus or peppermint. Be careful with peppermint because the peppermint's really strong, but you could do that and it really opens up the sinus cavities and reduces inflammation. Now there's something else that we really want to do, and you can do this as well, and there's 2 ways to go about this. You can get, because we're reducing inflammation, you can go buy yourself a box of ibuprofen, okay? Whatever, take 2 or 3 ibuprofen and take a really hot, steamy shower, like as long as you can, to breathe in the fumes. Now, there's the old adage that says, oh man, I killed it. I sing so good when I'm singing in the shower. Well, there's actually a lot of truth to that. It's not just only that there's reverb in the shower and so it's forgivable as far as your tone and your pitch, but it's because that the steam itself is actually loosening up the cords and reducing inflammation and providing the ability for the cords to vibrate easily so that you can go up and down a scale a lot easier than getting bound up when they're all dried up and leathery, okay? So again, collagen replaces that, glutathione replaces that, mucosa helps with this, all these different things. My favorite thing to do though is not to take ibuprofen, it's to take turmeric. Because turmeric is every bit as effective, maybe even more effective than ibuprofen. And ibuprofen's gonna mess with your stomach if you do it over the long haul. So be careful with that. I'm just saying that you can do that in a pinch, but my preference would be turmeric. So check this out. This is pretty expensive stuff here. You can do natural turmeric, just get raw turmeric, chop it up, put it in a tea or, you know, in a salad or something. It's a little nasty. It kind of tastes a little bitter. But anyway, you could do this, or you could get this turmeric oil here. And again, it's pretty expensive, but this stuff really works and it reduces inflammation. So now that we've, you know, discussed, okay, this is sort of pre-workout stuff that you've done to ensure the best health for your voice as you can. Now let's talk about the scales themselves. Now I saw one video that said, for guys, you want to go from your chest voice and your falsetto and do that a lot. And for girls, your chest voice and your head voice. Let's clarify two things real quick. The first thing is when you say falsetto for guys, I use that term synonymously, which means the same as falsetto as head voice for girls. So falsetto for guys, head voice for girls. I like to use those interchangeably, and I have some definitions I've written out in my course. By the way, I have a singing course called How to Sing Better Than Anyone Else, and I cover all this stuff really thoroughly in the course. But so as you're going through this, understand, yes, we want to slowly and gently wake up the voice with some easy drills where we hand off from our chest to our head fairly early so that we can wake up the voice. But truth be told, we can't reside or stay in that, because if we do, then we never wake up our chest voice, and we're gonna sing, we're planning on singing, we've gotta wake that up. So how do we do that? So in a minute, I'm gonna go through some scales with you guys, but what we do is we gently wake up the chest head voice through the lip drill and a tongue exercise, some stuff we're gonna do, and then little by little, adding like one note at a time, start to wake up the chest voice a little bit, so that when you finally are like 20 minutes after you're doing your chest head workouts and really gently waking up the voice and getting the sinus cavities to clear and the mucus to clear and, you know, opening up resonators inside the face and mask, then you can start to wake up the chest voice, because you're not going to be singing in falsetto. You're going to need to get your chest voice to wake up. So little by little, you start to bring one more note, then another note, and do some scales of some bright ping. It's the la-ah, ping is king, bringing in that nice bright sound to wake up that chest voice. So let's go through a few scales here. I want to do the lip drill. And by the way, guys, if you can't go brr, brr, yes, you can go ahead and do this, but try to get away from being brr, brr, when you do a lip drill, because in the end, you want to relax the face so that you can accommodate this. So I'm going to start kind of low, because ladies, I want you to be able to do this up the octave of this. So guys, I'm going to start pretty doggone low so that the ladies can come along for the ride too. But so if it's too low for you, just wait a couple scales here. Rolling the head voice there. Now you can continue to go up and down the scale, and we really want to do this for about 10, 15, even 20 minutes, just to kind of wake up the chest and head voice through the passaggio and have a really relaxed throat response. Now you can do another scale too, which is, I'll do it lower here. Okay, so you can go up and down these scales to do this. Now, this other vocal coach again said, do NG, or Well, I am not a big fan of the NG, embedding that into muscle memory for the throat. Again, this is all about building muscle memory. And in my course, How to Sing Better Than Anyone Else, I teach you how to build open throat muscle memory. So this is really important to not embed a sound that we're never going to use, or we rarely use, or don't really want to use when we sing. However, it does serve a purpose, two purposes actually. One is to take gack off the chords, which is NG, and two is to determine vocal Fach, or what is your vocal type. It's a German system, German caste system of understanding what your range is and what your vocal type is. So if you were to do the NG like this vocal coach said, you go and it does actually get rid of some of the vocal gack off the chords themselves. But folks, if we're honest with ourselves, when we go to sing words like loving you or holding you or anything that has an NG sound in it, you find that you get caught in the throat. Loving you, and there's a yodel that happens when you try to release that sound. So if we embed that sound, we're actually embedding a sound we don't want. We want loving you, not loving you. We don't want to get rid of that sound, so we don't want to embed that. Now, the M sound, like forget that noise. That's silliness. We can do an M, and we do it like this, with the tongue. Like there's a ball in the back of your throat. Think of the vowel of like love in the throat. Because it does open up the resonators in the face, and it also helps you maintain open throat technique rather than using NG. And so on. We could go all the way up the scales, and you guys can do this on your own. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining me, Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, where the proof is in the singing. I just want to get you guys real information. Again, when you see something on the internet, simply ask the vocal coach, hey, can you sing a song or two for me? And can you post that? And can you sing or have some of your students sing so that I know that the information that I'm getting from you is legit, that I'm not hurting myself, or you're not just representing or parroting something you got from another video, so that you can authenticate that the information that you get is correct. Okay, thank you guys for joining me. Until next time, peace out.